Well, when people ask us what Ministry of Design does and what our philosophy is, I encapsulate it in a simple sort of mantra. Well, what we do is to create experiences, whether it's a very large-scale experience which involves master planning, multi-story buildings, millions of square feet, or whether it's a one-to-one human scale experience where it's a chair you sit on or a product that you hold with your hand. It's still an experience, and we design these things, so our range of work is very wide because of that. But what is common to our work is this desire to never take convention as our starting point, to always question convention. And our mantra in the office, I tell all the people who join us, is always to question, disturb, and then redefine. So to ask ourselves the essential question, what is the experience meant to be? How was it before? How can it be more relevant to today? Then we disturb through the process of design, and that's usually the difficult part. And then in the end, hopefully we have something that's redefined, maybe in a very drastic way or maybe in a small, minor way, but it's redefined for the present. Well, when we were invited to be part of this Hellingale 65 series, we were quite thrilled because it's a fabric that has a lot of potential and has such a long heritage as well. And we wanted to tap into that and also to bring into the equation some of our own Asianness and our own studio's ethos. So we are very happy to be selected, and we had a lot of fun working on this project. When you create a product, there are typically quite a few challenges, but we were surprised that they weren't from the usual areas that we encounter challenges in. We thought that we would have problems coming up with an idea that would maybe be acceptable or understood clearly, but that was not a problem at all. Instantly, the curators as well as Co-Optrat picked a scheme that was our favorite as well. But the challenges came later in the production of what we thought was a very simple product. We thought that how difficult can it be to make an ottoman or a pouf? But when we surveyed all the different furniture manufacturers and approached them with this problem, we realized that it was far more complicated than we had imagined. The tapering sides, the seamlessness that we wanted to achieve, the sheer scale of the ottoman is huge, were all problems that we had not preempted at all. So the next stage was working through each one and then solving it patiently, and we had a great manufacturer, Abitex, who partnered with us to create this. I think the mantra of MOD to question, disturb and redefine was also augmented by the brief from Co-Optrat to embody in the product some DNA of the city that we're from. And so one of the questions we asked ourselves was, what really Singapore, how can it be defined? What is one of the major characteristic trends or flavor that Singapore offers? And there's so many things to pick from, you know, from our fabled food and culture to even, you know, the notion of shopping as a phenomenon. But we wanted to pick something that was a little bit more, perhaps more close to our hearts. And in recent times, you know, with the influx of immigrants to Singapore, although Singaporeans are essentially immigrants from, you know, 3 or 4 generations back, we seem to have forgotten that. And now there's this response or reaction to influx of immigrants from all around the world. And our piece wanted to make a neutral statement about the situation, about the races, how demographically this is changing and evolving in Singapore, but also as a starting point to provoke a conversation about where the future holds and where we would be headed if this trend continues. So, you know, it was a good way to question not so much the nature of a product, but nature of a country and its evolving face. The end result is something that we are very pleased with. We wish that you know, we could have one in our office, and also we've gotten inquiries about customizing these pieces for use in. There's an inquiry from Holland for a retail company, and then now there's been an inquiry from a Balinese client who wants to put it in a resort. So I think we're quite interested to see how we can take this to the next step. Although the meaning of this is grounded in Singapore, I'm sure we can also find ways to customize them to other countries and situations. When you ask the question what good design is, I think there can be so many possible answers depending on which field of design you are encountering, what medium you use. But I think maybe what's essential to design at the heart of it all is reflected also in how we think about design at Ministry of Design, which is to always ask questions, never to take for granted solutions, never to just trust your intuition or the overwhelming maybe consensus of what should be, but always to critically ask, essentially, not so much for the fact that you want to create something new, because sometimes something old works, like Hellingdale 65, it works, it's just reinterpreted. But sometimes it's critical to say culture, society is evolving so quickly around us. It's impossible to keep up, but it would be a sin not to reflect on what the present state of affairs are. And our work, although today here we talk about our product, the demographically speaking series of proofs on Ottomans, our work is primarily in architecture. So there's a permanence about architecture. So it needs to ensure that it provides a solution or a context for life to continue in a relevant way for many years. So I think good design is design which answers what is the big question of relevance. Yeah. In whatever you're designing for, whether it's a home or a school or a cool product gallery like Dream in this space that we're in right now. I think the interesting thing is our inspirational points are not from without the project, they're from within the project. So we always find our starting points, our Northern Star guiding points, or the questions that we ask, why does something have to be the way it is, always from the project itself. And we believe that every project, when you dig deep or you slice deeply enough, presents an opportunity to redefine an element of it at least. So our projects themselves are inspiring, and I get constantly fidgety and always looking for something new. So when a project like the Hellingdale 65 came about, or a master plan in China for 1 million square feet comes about, we find inspiration from the projects themselves. Well, Dream has been one of the key stopping watering holes for designers when they're looking for good support for the objects that you place in a space to make it livable, to make it memorable, to make it comfortable, to make it home, or even in hotels to make it welcoming or exciting or daring. So we've been working with Dream on a variety of projects at different scales, where sometimes we find the smallest objects that they sell here perfect to complement our spaces. Sometimes some of the largest pieces become highlights in our spaces, and it's wonderful because there's an evolving range of products that they have, and it comes from a broad range of countries and designers. So we almost always find a number of pieces that we like. I personally always focus on what is appropriate and what is right for each project, and that changes all the time because our projects change. So there is no favorite in a way, but working with the colleagues here at Dream who are very supportive, we engage them in a conversation, we explain to them what our project is about, the spirit of the project, the mood that we're trying to create, and they often are able to then make a certain series or a certain selection of pieces appropriate, and that for us becomes the new favorite for that particular project.